What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Zagmar Sports Podcast. Yeah, I'm your host Isaiah, and we are live. And y'all, wow! Today, the Houston Texans made a big trade as they have acquired wide receiver Stefon Diggs, formerly of the Buffalo Bills. Wow! Yeah. And y'all, I must admit, I was very, very, very surprised by this because, I would say most of us had a feeling that there was a chance that Stefon Diggs was going to get traded. But the fact that it was a Houston Texans, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, the Texans already loaded, y'all. They already loaded. And let me say this. Now, we still have to see what they're going to look like come September, right? Because they look great on paper, but we've seen plenty of teams in NFL history, in NBA history, look great on paper, but not be able to translate it to the field or to the court. So we have to see them translate what they have on paper to the field. But right now, y'all, what they have on paper is a really, really good team with a mixture of young and veteran stars. I really love what the Houston Texans have going on. And it pains me to say because I'm a Titans fan. So I don't like bragging about teams in my division. But y'all have to call it like I see it. This is a really strong team, on paper. And wow, the Texans, y'all are cooking something up. So, yeah, y'all, let's get into this. How's everyone doing? Thank you for joining the live. So, y'all, the Texans trade for wide receiver Stefon Diggs. The trade details are as following. The Bills receive a 2024 sixth-round pick, a 2025 second-round pick via the Vikings, and a 2025 fifth-round pick. So, I mean, the Bills, they got pretty solid draft compensation. I got to give them credit. Obviously, they were not going to get a first-round pick for Stefon Diggs, but getting a second-round pick next year is fine. I'm pretty sure Brandon Beane, the GM for the Buffalo Bills, he probably tried to get a second round pick this year, but getting a second round pick next year still not bad. And then also they were able to get a fifth and sixth out of this, or a sixth round pick this year, a fifth round pick next year. So overall, getting 3 picks, not too shabby. I would have loved if they were able to get like a fourth round pick out of this, but hey, I guess a fifth and sixth will have to suffice. So we'll have to suffice, excuse me. So y'all, let's talk about what this means for the Texans. So this is yet another win now move that the Texans have made this offseason. They already acquired Joe Mixon and Danielle Hunter, and now they have added Stefon Diggs. Stefon is still a great wide receiver despite the struggles he had in the latter part of last season. The Texans already had a stacked offense, and now they probably have the best offense in the AFC, and y'all can't see this part, and are Super Bowl contenders. And y'all, I truly believe, get this comment, yo, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? But y'all, I truly believe that the Houston Texans have the best offense in the AFC. Because if you look at the landscape of the AFC right now, I don't think, y'all, we have that many prolific offense. I'm talking about like really, really prolific offense. Now, obviously the Chiefs, okay, because they got Patrick Mahomes, they still got Travis Kelce. But, outside of them, y'all, I mean, there's just a bunch of good offense. The Dolphins. But I like what the Texans have more than the Dolphins because obviously the Dolphins, I mean, they got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devon Chain, and then obviously Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. But I mean, the Texans have Tank Dell and Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, now Stefon Diggs. They still got like Xavier Hutchinson, their rookie wide receiver from last year. So they got a lot of pieces, and they also brought back Noah Brown to be like their fourth or fifth wide receiver. So not only do they have great talent at wide receiver, they also have great depth. And I just think that I think their offense right now is just the best in the AFC. Obviously, we know CJ Stroud had a phenomenal rookie season, 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And like I said, I mean, they're bringing back Tank Dell off of injury, and him and CJ Stroud had a phenomenal connection before he got injured. Nico Collins, same thing. I mean, y'all, think about this. Nico Collins, his first 2 years in the league, he looked like he was pretty much a mediocre wide receiver. And then this year with CJ Stroud, he was one of the best receivers in the NFL. So you talking about the Texans have him, Tank Dell, and now Stefon Diggs. I mean, there's a really, really, really good 3-headed monster at wide receiver. And then they acquired Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon, he is an upgrade over Devin Singletary. He definitely is. Now, I know Joe Mixon has kind of lost some of his explosiveness because, Joe Mixon back in 2021, he was super explosive. I think he's kind of lost some of that. but he's still a good running back. He's still a good run protector, and also, y'all, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So because that's something that Devin Singletary really cannot do. Devin Singletary was not an option in the passing game out of the backfield, but Joe Mixon is. So I love that the Texans have that, and y'all, this team is a Super Bowl contender. Make no mistake about it. Yeah, they are 1,000% a Super Bowl contender. When you look at the landscape of the AFC, obviously now we're gonna get to the Bills here in a few minutes, y'all. But obviously the Bills now, like the Bills are, they're gonna be fighting to make it to the playoffs. Excuse me. You still have the Ravens, but y'all, the Ravens lost a lot of pieces. Let's be honest, they lost a lot of pieces. John Simpson, Morgan Moses, Patrick Queen, Ronald Darby, OBJ. So they gotta patch up that offensive line. They did get Derrick Henry, but they had to get that offensive line correct because they lost two really good starters. And like I said, and losing OBJ and Ronald Darby and Patrick Queen and Geno Stone, his safety, who led the league in interceptions. So they had to figure out a way to fill those holes. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs again. We know the Chiefs have a phenomenal defense, but they did just lose L'Jarius Sneed to my Tennessee Titans. They traded him to my Titans. And so the Chiefs are going to take – the Chiefs are still going to be a great team, obviously. But I think I might like the Texans a little bit. On paper, I think the Texans have the better team. You look at the Browns. We don't know how Deshaun Watson is going to be. You look at the Dolphins. They got questions about their defense. You look at the Steelers. I don't even like the Steelers. Then you look at like the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Colts, the Raiders. All teams. I mean, obviously the Bengals. Getting Joe Burrow back, but the Bengals, they lost DJ Reader on defense. And we don't know what they're gonna do with T. Higgins. So I'm kind of like iffy about the Bengals right now because they got a lot of question marks. The Jaguars, same deal. Have a lot of question marks. They lost Calvin Ridley, and they really need help on defense, particularly in that secondary. The Raiders, I like the Raiders, but they don't have a quarterback. And then y'all, I mean, you got the Broncos, Jets, Chargers, Patriots, and my Tennessee Titans. So when you look at it, I mean, I think you can make a case that the Texans are the second best team in the AFC right now. How many of y'all would agree with that? Let me get some of these comments. Hello, how you doing? To be honest, I have no knowledge on NFL. Hey, that's fine, man. Appreciate you being here. But yeah, how do y'all feel about that? Do y'all think the Texans are the second best team in the AFC right now behind the Chiefs? Because I really do. I think they're better than the Ravens. They're better than the Bills. They're better than the Browns, Dolphins, Steelers, Bengals, Jaguars, Colts, etc. So I think they're the second best team in the AFC, y'all. And talk about a complete 360, y'all, that this organization did. Because we know 2-3 years ago, they were one of the worst run organizations in the entire NFL. All the Deshaun Watson mess that was going on. And no one wanted to come to the Houston Texans. Now, y'all, think about all the young stars and veteran players that they have assembled on this roster. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley, Christian Harris, Jalen Petrie, Stefon Diggs. Think about my Titans. Stefon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. I mean, wow. Kenyon Green, Juice Scruggs. Y'all, none of those players were on the team 2 years ago. So give credit. Let's clap about this. Again, I don't like giving credit to the team. I don't like giving credit to teams in my division, but y'all, they've done a phenomenal job. DeMeco Ryans is a great head coach. I mean, he really is. He's a great head coach. And, a lot of people, when the Texans hired him last year, they were a little bit concerned because a lot of people were like, well, why would the Texans hire a defensive-minded head coach? But, y'all, you realize DeMeco Ryans is pretty innovative, though. Okay, he's not like your typical defensive-minded head coach where on offense, all he's going to do is just run the ball and play action pass. No. I mean, the Texans had a very explosive passing offense last year. And now you add Stefon Diggs to that. Y'all, this is a team that averaged 273 passing yards a game. What do you think they're going to average now? They're probably going to be close to, 290, 295 passing yards per game. So this offense is very explosive. This team in general is very well. I mean, y'all, this is a really balanced team. Now, they still do have a hole at corner outside of Derek Stingley. I don't know if they're going to bring Steven Nelson back or not. Even if they do bring Steven Nelson back, Steven Nelson is a very good player, but he is 31. I've been saying this for the longest about the Texans, though. They need to find a long-term corner to pair with Derek Stingley because they don't have that right now. Now, they have it as a wide receiver. They don't have it at corner, but really, I mean, y'all outside of corner and maybe they can use another like interior defensive lineman. This team is complete. I mean, this is a really, really, really balanced roster. It's very rare, y'all, that you see a roster that's super balanced like this. But the reason that this roster is super balanced is because one, they've drafted well. And y'all, when you draft well, it really, really, really helps your team. Because I know some people think, well, hey, these teams, they have unlimited salary cap space, right? They're playing Madden, but they aren't, y'all. Okay, the cap is real. And you cannot buy a team in free agency. You just cannot do that. You have to be able to draft well. Look at my Tennessee Titans. Okay, for any Titans fans that might be on here, we definitely can tell you that's the reason that our team, has been in the position we've been in the last 2 or 3 years because we haven't drafted well. And when you do not draft well, that means what, y'all? You got to try to fill those holes up in free agency. The problem is you're going to be paying a lot to those guys in free agency. Whereas if you're able to hit on them in the draft, it's great. Like, look at the Texans. They were able to hit on Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Now they have the luxury of adding Stefon Diggs. It's not like did they absolutely need Stefon Diggs? No. They already have 2 really good young wide receivers. But they have the luxury of being able to get Stefon Diggs. Whereas my Tennessee Titans, we needed Calvin Ridley. Y'all see the difference? We needed Calvin Ridley because our wide receiver, Traylon Burks, that we drafted a couple years ago, has not lived up to his draft status. So we needed to get a receiver like Calvin Ridley. The Texans, they didn't need Stefon Diggs, quote unquote. But it definitely helps them, y'all. It helps them tremendously. Because now you have 3 amazing wide receivers on top of having Chiefs, Texans, and 49ers, the only ones I know. Yes, I think the Texans are turning a super team. They are. They really are, Nikki T. And the reason they are is because, again, it's all the young talent that they have on this roster. They have drafted so well, y'all, and those players are on rookie contracts, and they're already like Pro Bowl level players. I mean, think about this. Their first round picks of last year, C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. were Pro Bowlers. Their 2022 first round pick, Derek Stingley, probably should have been a Pro Bowler this year. So, y'all, when you draft that well, it really is going to help your team. It's going to allow you to go out and get Stefon Diggs. It's going to allow you to get the Nico Autry. It's going to allow you to get the Neil Hunter, right? Because you have that salary cap space to do so. And if you look at the best teams in the NFL, y'all, they have what? Cost control players on their roster. That's why the 49ers, now the 49ers, they're going to have to get ready to pay some of these dudes. That's why, you see a guy like Brandon Ayuk, he's being mentioned in trades. Why? Because the 49ers starting to kind of run out of money. Because, now some of these players like Brandon Ayuk, Talanoa Hufanga, they're starting to come up, right? But the reason they've been able to have so much elite talent on their roster is because a lot of the guys, y'all, weren't making that much money. They were first-round picks. They were second-round picks. They were third-round picks. Right? They weren't making a lot of money. So it was great. You look at my Tennessee Titans, though, because we drafted really poorly, we needed a guy like Calvin Ridley. We needed a guy like Chidobe Awuzie because we drafted really poorly at wide receiver and corner, so we needed those guys. But the Texans, again, like I said, they did not need Stefon Diggs. But this is the trade you make when you know, hey, we got a young team that's ascending, and we've added a lot of really good veteran players. Let's go all in. And y'all, the Texans, they're all in. They are all in. And, man, this is a very, very dangerous team. I mean, think about this, y'all. They won a playoff game last season without Danielle Hunter, without Stefon Diggs, without the Nico Autry, without Azeez Al-Shire. What you think they're going to do now with those guys? And plus, it's another year for Tank Dell, another year for C.J. Stroud, another year for Will Anderson Jr., another year for Kenyon Green, another year for Derek Stingley Jr., another year for Christian Harris, another year for Jalen Petrie. So those guys are only what, y'all? Maturing. Which means what? They're going to be better players. And so, one more time, y'all, before we get into the Bills, let's clap it up for the Houston Texans. The job and the job that they have done to put together a really, really, really balanced roster. Again, like I said, you don't see too many teams have rosters like this, y'all, where it's really not that many glaring weaknesses. It isn't. The Texans don't really have any glaring weaknesses on this roster. Very, very, very great job by them. All right, y'all. So let's get into the Texans offense. At quarterback, you got CJ Stroud. Running back, you got Joe Mixon. Tight end, you got Dalton Schultz. Wide receiver, 1, Stefon Diggs. Wide receiver, 2, Nico Collins. Wide receiver, 3, Tank Dell. I mean, wow. Y'all, look at that offense. That is an elite offense right there. I mean, you're talking about, y'all, one of the best quarterbacks in the AFC. I would say Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is probably still a top 5 running back in the AFC. Stefon Diggs, still one of the top receivers in the AFC. Nico Collins, a young ascending receiver in the AFC, and Tank Dell, another young receiver ascending in the AFC. And then you got Dr. Schultz, a tight end, who had a really, really good season. So when you look at this Texas offense, y'all, I mean, this should be a top 5 offense in the league if everything goes according to plan. And that's the biggest thing. I start out this video saying what? It looks good on paper, but now you got to translate paper to the field. If they're able to do that, y'all look out. Because the Houston Texans, this team can win a Super Bowl. I mean, seriously. This is a Super Bowl contender. And y'all, like I said, I think they're the second best team in the AFC behind the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's get into the Buffalo Bills side of things. And for the Bills fans, I know, the last 3-4 weeks has been really difficult for you because y'all have cut a lot of key players, right? Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse. You lost Tim Settle. And you also lost Gabe Davis too. But I mean, Gabe Davis was a little bit hit or miss. I know Bills fans, y'all weren't that high on Gabe Davis, but he was a solid player at times for y'all. But now this feels like the last domino, y'all, to fall. And this y'all trading Stefon Diggs. It's really crazy, Bills fans, because just 2 years ago, coming into the 2022 NFL season, y'all were seen as the favorites to win a Super Bowl. And now 2 years later, we're looking at y'all like, wow, you might not even be a playoff team because the AFC is super loaded. AFC is super loaded. And some of these teams got better. One of the teams in the AFC that got better is my Tennessee Titans. So, Bills fans, I'm not even sure if y'all can make the playoffs, which is just so crazy to say. But y'all might not make the playoffs. Let's get to it, y'all. The Bills Super Bowl window is officially closed. They had to part ways with multiple key players, and now they have traded away their best wide receiver. Josh Allen is going to miss Stefon, but this is a stacked wide receiver draft class, so maybe the Bills can replace him. The Bills feel like they are in rebuild mode, a place they didn't think they would be in. Y'all see, I put rebuild mode in quotation marks. Because, most of the time, y'all, when you have a really good to elite quarterback, you always hear GM say, we're never in rebuild mode, okay? You'll hear GM say that all the time. We're not in rebuild mode. But, y'all, if you really look at the Bills, though, at least for this season, this is going to be like a mini rebuild. I think Bills fans will at least agree with that. Now, it might not be a full-on rebuild mode. Okay, you're not going to be like the freaking Panthers, as I see my boy Christian Russell up here. Feel bad for Bills fans, I do too. As a Panthers fan, pain is so normal, I don't even feel anymore. LOL. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna be like y'all. At least they shouldn't be. Okay, so Bills fans, you should be like the Panthers. Okay, you shouldn't be like 1-16 or 2-15 or something like that. But Bills fans, I'm warning you. Okay, this could be like a 7-10 season. Seriously, because now you're talking about your wide receiver core is led by Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel? Really? Your secondary got worse. right? You also lost Terrell Bernard in free agency. So Von Miller is what, 30, going to be 35. So I'm like, oh man, Bills, you don't really have that many great players on this roster like you did just 2 years ago. And I know Bills fans, that has to really frustrate y'all because you had a Super Bowl window. You did. Y'all Super Bowl window was from 2020 to 2023. When y'all lost to the Bengals last year in that 2023 divisional round game, I knew then, I was like, it's over for the Bills. Because remember, y'all, coming into that season, the 22-23 season, the Bills were seen as the favorites to win the Super Bowl. And when y'all didn't even make it to the AFC Championship game that year, I was like, it is over for the Bills. Because y'all, the AFC is only getting better. Look, we just talked about the Texans. Look at the Texans. The Texans 2 years ago won the worst teams in the entire league. Now they're a Super Bowl contender. They're a whole lot better than the Bills. Okay, obviously the Chiefs, they're better than the Bills. I think now the Dolphins, I know, the Bills, the last few years, the Bills have owned the Dolphins. I think now the Dolphins are better than the Bills. The Browns are better than the Bills. Then, you got teams that's like, we got to kind of wait and see. The Jets, my Tennessee Titans, the Raiders, we got to wait because the Raiders don't have a quarterback and they're still missing a corner as well. So we kind of got to wait and see with them. But you talk about the Jets, Raiders, and Titans, all could be better than the Bills next season. And so when I look at the Bills now, it's going to be a really trying season for y'all. It is. Now, I will say this, though. This could actually end up being a really good move. Because, as I wrote, this is a stacked wide receiver draft class. And if you're able, we're going to get to this here in a few minutes, but if you're able to get one of these wide receivers that I have y'all potentially getting or going after, then boom, now you can have maybe a really good to elite wide receiver on a rookie contract. Kind of like what the Minnesota Vikings had with Justin Jefferson. When the Minnesota Vikings, they traded away Stefon Diggs, and people were like, what are the Vikings doing? And then they got Justin Jefferson, and then we were like, oh, really didn't even matter that they traded away Stefon Diggs because Justin Jefferson, his rookie season became one of the best receivers in the NFL. And we were like, well, hey, they're paying, Justin Jefferson a whole lot less money than they were going to have to pay Stefon Diggs. And so Bills fans, if that ends up working out for y'all like it did with the Vikings, this could actually be a really good thing. But if it doesn't, if it goes kind of like how it went for my Titans when we traded away A.J. Brown, then wow, you're going to be in a really, really bad predicament. And Josh Allen is not going to have any elite weapons because y'all, let's be honest, Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel, they're solid. But right now, that is your number one and number two wide receiver. Yeah, that's not good, okay? Whereas the Texans, their number one and number two wide receiver is Stefon Diggs and Nico Collins. So, Bills Mafia, maybe this will work out for y'all. But I'm telling you right now, y'all might not ever get to the Super Bowl in the next decade. Seriously. Because I'm just like, you're going to have to get through Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to get through Lamar Jackson. You're going to have to get through C.J. Stroud. And not just get through those guys. You got to get through their teams, okay? You got to get through the Chiefs, which y'all have not been able to do. You got to get through the Bengals, which y'all have not been able to do. You got to get through the Ravens. You got to get through the Browns. That's assuming Deshaun Watson is ready to go. Heck, even if Deshaun Watson isn't like playing at his best. We saw what the Browns just did this year. That's a talented team. You got to get through them. You eventually got to get through my Tennessee Titans. Okay, the Jaguars are still an intriguing team. Even though I'm not super high on them, but they're still an intriguing team. The Colts, I think they're ascending. The Raiders are ascending, especially if they can get their quarterback right and get their secondary right. You got to get through those teams for the next decade plus. I don't think the Bills could do it, y'all. I don't. Is there anybody else in here that just feels like me? You don't think the Bills are going to the Super Bowl in the next decade plus? Because I don't see it. Because I don't believe they're going to be able to get through these quarterbacks. I don't believe they're going to be able to get through these teams. Their best chance, y'all, like I said, their best chance to get to the Super Bowl was what? From 2020 to 2023. They couldn't do it. Okay? They could not do it. I'm not saying they didn't have a great team. They did. They won a lot of games in the regular season. Right? They won multiple AFC East division titles. But at the end of the day, y'all put together that team to what? To go to and win the Super Bowl. And it just did not happen. It didn't happen. And so now that era is over with. And now y'all gonna have to try to start a new era. The problem is, even if you are able to start a new era and it ends up being a successful era, that does not mean y'all are going to the Super Bowl. So, Bills fans, I know it's a tough day for y'all, a very tough day. Because, man, the last 4 years, it was a beautiful thing for y'all. Y'all won a lot of games, won the AFC East division multiple times. You know, had an amazing roster, had multiple Pro Bowls on both sides of the ball. So I get it. It's a tough day. Very tough day. But y'all just have to hope and pray that the next era of Bills football is going to be better than this one. Kind of like with my Titans. You know, I've said this before, that the Titans, our best chance to go to the Super Bowl was from 2019 to 2021. 3-year window, y'all. Obviously, you know, the 1920 season, we went to the AFC Championship game. The 2020-21 season, we won 11 games, won the AFC South, but lost in the first round. Wild card game to the Baltimore Ravens. Then the 21-22 season, we went 12-5, won the entire AFC, had home field advantage, got that first round bye. We lost in the division round to the Bengals. When we lost that game, I remember I was telling people, that's it. That era of Titans football was over. And people say, like, no, I was like, we still come back. Like, no, we blew it. Because I'm like, the rest of the AFC is what? Only going to get better. That's why you got to take advantage of these opportunities right now. Right now. Okay, because the rest of the AFC is going to continue to get better, Bills fans. And it just shows you how quick things can change. Because a couple years ago, Bills, y'all were on top of the world. A lot of people ready to crown y'all the best team in the NFL. And now 2 years later, I don't even know if y'all going to be a playoff team this coming up season. So Bills, hey, hang in there. Bills fans, Bills Mafia, hang in there. But let's get into some wide receivers that the Bills could draft. Obviously, we know now for sure, I mean, the Bills are going to draft a wide receiver. Now, even before they traded away Stefon Diggs, a lot of people, myself included, in all my drafts, we already had the Bills taking a wide receiver because we were like, okay, yeah, you got Stefon Diggs, but who else do you have? You know, Curtis Samuel, he's a fine slot guy, but we were like, you really need, you know, that number 2 wide receiver to pair with Stefon Diggs. Well, now you don't even have Stefon Diggs there any longer, so you definitely need to take a wide receiver. But y'all, there's 6 options. There's 3 on this page and 3 on the next page. 6 wide receivers in the Bills who draft. So we have Adonai Mitchell, University of Texas. We got Xavier Leggett, South Carolina. We got Troy Franklin out of Oregon. And when you look at all 3 of these wide receivers, what do they have, y'all? Size, right? I mean, they are ex-wide receivers. Now, I will say this. Xavier Leggett and Troy Franklin, they both can play in the slot, but they also can play on the outside. And that's what the Bills – I mean, the Bills need a number 1 wide receiver, right? They need an ex-wide receiver at this point. You look at Adonai Mitchell, y'all, 6'2", 205-pound wide receiver. Obviously, he's very fast. We saw he ran a 4.33 at the NFL Combine. He's a long strider, has really, really, really good hands. He's a big vertical threat. I think his best football is ahead of him. I know he wasn't super productive at college, but I just think, y'all, I mean, him and Josh Allen would form a really good duo. He's definitely a different receiver from Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs is more of like a across-the-field guy, whereas, like I said, Adonai Mitchell is more of like a deep ball guy. He's a vertical threat. Not saying Stefon Diggs is a vertical threat. Stefon Diggs is more of like I said, middle of the field, intermediate routes. Next up, you have Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina. Y'all, Xavier Leggett, my comparison with him, he's like a running back and a wide receiver. Excuse me, he's a wide receiver and a running back's body. I mean, you're talking about this dude is 6'1", about 230 pounds, like super big, super strong, and runs nasty, y'all. I mean, he's very, very aggressive. He kind of reminds you of like Marshawn Lynch or Frank Gore, like one of those just nasty physical running backs back in the day. And but he's fast though too. Xavier Leggett is super fast, and I think he's at his best when you have him running a little end routes, dig routes, those kind of things. He's not the best route runner right now, so you don't want him running like super complicated routes, but dig routes, end routes, post routes, and obviously he's a huge vertical threat as well, like Adonai Mitchell. So I think Xavier Leggett would make a ton of sense. And then finally, y'all, we got Troy Franklin. He's another physical guy, 6'2" wide receiver. We know him and Bo Nix. I mean, they were lighting dudes up in the Pac-12 this past season, and he could play in the slot, but he also could play outside as well. And he has really, really, really good hands. He's a really good route runner. I don't know if people understand. He's a really good route runner, a smooth route runner, which is kind of rare because with him being such a big guy at 6'2", you wouldn't think he would be able to be as smooth and as shifty as say a smaller guy like a Tyreek Hill, but he is. Like, don't get it twisted, y'all. Troy Franklin is very shifty. He's very smooth when he runs his routes, so he would be a great option. How y'all feel about this? I think for the Bills, at these three guys, I would say I would rank them. I would say Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin, then Xavier Leggett. That's how I run. Because I think the Bills, y'all, they need a wide receiver that can kind of play immediately. And I think Xavier Leggett, even though I do like Xavier Leggett, I don't know if he's ready to contribute like immediately. Whereas I think Adonai Mitchell and Troy Franklin, they are ready to go because they're a little bit more polished, in my opinion, than Xavier Leggett is. And then y'all, let's get into the last three wide receivers that the Bills could draft. We got Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, Ladd McConkey out of Georgia, and then Keon Coleman out of Florida State University. Shout out to Seminoles. And y'all, let me just say this, okay? The reason I put Brian Thomas Jr. on here is because I know a lot of Bills fans want him, okay? Just being honest, a lot of Buffalo Bills fans want him. But y'all, let's be honest, okay? There's no way in the world Brian Thomas Jr. is falling to pick 28. Bills fans, I'm just being honest. You're talking about a dude, and if y'all ever watch, please watch my scouting report that I did on Brian Thomas Jr. I've said it time and time again on this channel. For those of y'all that were here when I was streaming for the NFL Combine, Brian Thomas Jr. is one of my favorite players in this entire draft class. He's 6'3", 209 pounds. Y'all, very, 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 very fast. He has great hands, is a major vertical threat. Okay, and if you get him on a drag route, he's taking that thing to the house, y'all. Seriously, if Brian Thomas Jr. is on a drag route, on a slant route, any kind of like in-breaking route, he is taking that thing to the house because no one is catching a dude that's 6'3", that's a long strider, and that runs 4.33. No one's catching him. So, Bills fans, I know y'all want Brian Thomas Jr. because I've been reading some of y'all comments on Instagram, but I really, really don't think he's going to be here. And if Brian Thomas Jr. is here at 28, wow, what in the world were some NFL GMs thinking? Because there's teams, y'all, that could use a wide. I mean, heck, my Tennessee Titans at pick 7 could take Brian Thomas Jr. if we wanted to. I wouldn't actually mind that, y'all. Seriously, I wouldn't mind if we took Brian Thomas Jr. I know some people will probably say, well, Zay, that's a reach, but I really love me some Brian Thomas Jr. I don't think people talk about him enough like they should. We obviously know about Marvin Harrison Jr., Ron Madunze, and Malik Neighbors, but y'all, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is up there with those guys. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. But Bills fans, he's not going to be here. But I did put him on the list because I know a lot of y'all want him. And I also put him on here because who knows what happens on draft night. Y'all might trade up to pick 12 with the Broncos or pick 13 with the Raiders so you could take Brian Thomas Jr. Next up, y'all, we got Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. And Ladd McConkey, y'all, he's a silky smooth route runner, really, really great hands. And he can make dudes miss too. I think his athleticism is sneaky. And it surprises people and it catches DBs off guard. Because you look at Ladd McConkey, you're like, man, this dude's just your old average slot wide receiver. Most of the time, y'all, slot wide receivers aren't the fastest. They aren't the quickest. But he is super quick. I think he's quicker than fast. I don't think Ladd McConkey, I know, the combine, he ran like a 4.4. I don't think he's that fast just when I put the tape on of him. But one thing you do notice, y'all, is his short area quickness. He can make you miss in a phone booth, as we call it, and he gets by you. And because he's such a good route runner, you cannot put your hands on him. And y'all, I have not seen Ladd McConkey drop any passes. Okay, I've done a lot of film on him. I haven't seen him drop one pass. So he would be a great target for Josh Allen. The only problem I would say with Ladd McConkey is I see him really as a slot wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think he'll ever be an outside wide receiver. And the Bills really, really, really need an X wide receiver. Right? They need that. For those y'all don't know, an X wide receiver is an outside wide receiver. So that's what they really need. But Ladd McConkey is still a really, really freaking a good wide receiver. I just think for what the Bills need, he probably doesn't fit the best. But if he's there at pick 28 and say like some of these other receivers are gone, like Troy Franklin's already gone, and Brian Thomas Jr., he's probably already gone. Say if Xavier Leggett, he's up going first round, or Xavier Worthy's already gone, and Ladd McConkey is sitting there. I mean, you would have to take him, right? Because he would probably be the best wide receiver left on the board. But I just think for what the Bills need, you probably want an outside wide receiver. But hey, at the end of the day, I mean, the Bills just need weapons now. They need receivers that can get open and catch the football consistently, and that's what Ladd McConkey is doing. And lastly, y'all, we have Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State. And Keon Coleman, I mean, he's just a big physical red zone threat kind of wide receiver. Is he polished? No. I don't think Keon Coleman is a great wide receiver. Like I don't think he's a great route runner right now. And I don't think Keon Coleman is really that fast either, which kind of worries me because this year at college he looked faster than what he ran. He ran with a 4.64, which really surprised me. And another thing I don't like about Keon Coleman, y'all, is that he's not a great contested catch kind of guy. Even for a dude that's as big as he is, he's not the best one-on-one guy. I mean, you talking about a dude that's 6'3", 213, 14 pounds. But this year, y'all, I mean, I saw a lot of times on tape where he cannot handle physical coverage. And so he ended up dropping the ball when it was like a catch in traffic kind of situation. He dropped it. So I'm not as high on Keon Coleman as I once was, but I think he can still be a solid wide receiver. I just want to see him actually use his physical traits more to his advantage, right? And not be scared of contact. Because he's 6'3", 213 pounds. So he should be able to initiate contact. Kind of like how Brian Thomas Jr. is not afraid to go up and catch that thing, right? He's not afraid to do that. Keon Coleman is a little bit scared because I think he's worried about getting hit instead of just making the catch and being strong with the football. But at the end of the day, he would still be a great option. So, y'all, that is me discussing the Bills' decision to trade Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans and what it means for both teams. To recap, y'all, like I said, I think the Texans now have the best offense in the AFC, and I think they're the second best team in the AFC behind the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to be honest, Bills fans right now, I think y'all going to miss the playoffs this year, and you'll probably go 7-10, 8-9, which isn't like bad. My boy Christian Russell, he was talking about the Panthers, and obviously, his Panthers have been through some really bad seasons, like 2-15, 5-12. I mean, y'all not going to be that bad. At least you shouldn't be that bad. And y'all shouldn't be that bad. But y'all, I just don't see y'all being a playoff team right now. But hey, maybe y'all will surprise me, kind of like the Texans did this year. I mean, no one thought the Texans were gonna be as good as they were, and look, they ended up winning the playoff game. So Bills fans, maybe y'all surprise me and y'all end up making a deep playoff run. But right now, I just do not see it. Once again, I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in to the live stream on tonight. Yeah, y'all know I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I want to say this before I get up out of here. Tomorrow, y'all, we will be discussing some NCAA tournament news. We also will be talking about Kelly Harper getting fired by the University of Tennessee and potential coaches. We also will be talking about Angel Reese's decision to go to the WNBA draft rather than coming back. So, yeah, we got a stacked schedule on tomorrow. Then, y'all, on Friday, I will be doing my WNBA mock draft 2.0. So, yeah. Yeah, get ready for that, y'all. As y'all know, the WNBA draft is April 15th, so it's just 12 days away. and I'm super excited. I said this on last night, and I'm gonna say it again. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the other draft that's going on in April, the NFL draft. But I'm looking forward to the first draft that's going on in April, which is the WNBA mock draft, because as y'all know, or for those that might not know, but I really, really love me some women's basketball. I really love me some WNBA, and I support those girls so much. I love what they're doing. They're some phenomenal players, and I cannot wait to see the next wave of superstars get ready to enter to the WNBA, led by Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Georgia A. Moore and Alyssa Pilley, just to name a few, and also Aaliyah Edwards. So cannot wait to see them get their names called and get ready to come to the WNBA and become superstars in it. But yeah, y'all, that's what we have. Y'all know I'm gonna end it, man. I love y'all. God bless. Remember, laughter is good medicine, so make sure you get your daily dose. Peace.